Daniel Serwer. He directs the conflict management program at the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. He's also a scholar with the Middle East Institute. Great to have you back with us.
My pleasure.
So let's get right to Netanyahu's claims that Iran has secretly been working on its nuclear program. What do you make of the timing of this claim ahead of the deadline by the U.S. and shortly after the visits by the leaders of France and Germany?
It's clearly intended to encourage Trump to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. But really, there's no evidence that's been presented that suggests the Iranian nuclear weapons program went beyond 2003, 2004. A lot of this material is about a program that was fairly well known about and that has not been in existence for some time. I don't see this as very relevant to the Iran nuclear deal, except that it demonstrates how important transparency is to making sure that Iran doesn't proceed with nuclear weapons.
I mean, he has the charts and all the pictures. He says he has like 50,000 plus files. Isn't that easy enough to prove and show that it is old information if that's the case? And would everyone have access to the proof? Take a look.
Well, we'll see in the next few days what kind of evidence is put forward that this program has continued. He didn't present any today, so I think this is for dramatic effect, not a real contribution to understanding the current situation in Iran or understanding why it's so important to have the nuclear deal.
What do you think the United States will end up doing on May 12th?
I think the United States is going to stay in the deal, and I think it's going to stay in the deal because it gains nothing by withdrawing, and it destroys the prospects for a North Korean deal.
Well,
yeah. But that said, Mr. Trump is an erratic guy who makes decisions that I don't agree with all the time. I'm telling you what I think is a rational decision.
You mentioned the Korean Peninsula. How do people in that region of the world view what's going on here with what's happening with Iran and how the U.S. responds to what Netanyahu says?
Well, clearly, if the Americans withdraw from the Iranian nuclear deal, which was very carefully negotiated, the North Koreans can have no assurance that the Americans would abide by a deal made with them. So I do think that this has some relevance to the North Koreans. I also don't think the North Koreans are going to do what the Iranians did, which was to essentially freeze and dismantle a large part of their nuclear program. The North Koreans have promised denuclearization many times in the past. They've never fulfilled it.
May 12th. Do you see that as a hard deadline, or is it possible for this decision to stay in or go? Do you see it being punted like it has in the last couple of months?
It's not a hard deadline. It's a deadline the president gave himself.
Right.
He doesn't have to do anything on May 12th except decide whether or not to certify that the agreement is still in the interests of the United States. He didn't certify that 3 months ago, and nothing happened as a result. He can not certify again and have nothing happen as a result. But he promised the world and the Americans that he would make a decision on withdrawal by the next time he had to certify. So he's trapped himself into a decision.
And May 12th, we'll see what happens coming ahead of possibly the Trump-Kim meeting just a few weeks
Just ahead of the Trump-Kim meeting and a lot of other things going on in May. The situation is really bubbling.
All right, Daniel Serwer, always great to hear what you have to say. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.